All right, welcome back to the Hector Show. So, I only got 2 hours of sleep. Yay! I just couldn't get back to sleep, and something in my brain says just put everything together, put it into a document, and just publish it online. Put a timestamp on it. I've been spending the last 3 days just pouring through everything that ChatGPT has to offer to pull together this extended program of self-coaching, and I've only had 2 hours of sleep with a nap in between. I sat down and I just completely passed out. And then I woke up without like quite realizing where I was and was all groggy. I haven't been that tired in a long time. So here I am, and I remember, wait, I need to do my live video. And yeah, making these videos into more of an improv show. So everything in my life is coming together. And without further ado, let me just jump straight into it. Self-coaching model extended by pulling as much as I can knowledge from ChatGPT. Okay, so let's start out. I just put these notes here, but let's just start from fresh and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is the Enlightened Mastery Universe or Enlightened Mastery University. That's kind of the highest arching universe. Okay. This is I'm just going to randomly draw everywhere. Okay. Self coaching system framework. Self coaching framework. System? Let's do system. Okay. I'm feeling the performance pressure of like, I'm presenting this for the first time and I'm doing it from blank, right? So it's always testing my memory. I've only had 3 days, and I only spent like a little bit of time memorizing each concept that was created. Okay, one of them that was added is I'm super excited about this, and it's so simple. It's the 7 levels, or you can call them stages, of cognitive development, cognition. So 7 levels of, wow, my lack of sleep is showing, and the pressure of the live video, which again, I do these videos for myself as emotional strength training. So that's the first and foremost goal. So as long as I'm doing that, I'm already winning. And whatever I happen to get out is bonus. Okay, 7 levels of, I'm not looking at the notes. Um, cognitive development. This is not what I wrote down, but I'm just going to go with that. So I'm slowing down. Thank you, coach. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a 7th. So going from emotions all the way to a unified system. Unified system framework. Unified framework. The coolest development that I pulled from ChatGPT is the 12 module. Wow, my brain is 12 modifiers for every single concept it has. It's like the physical world is made out of atoms, right? And before we didn't know what it kind of looked like. And somehow, at some point, we did some physics and we found out the atom was made out of electrons, that's protons, neutrons, and electrons. I'm not a physicist, so that's not my specialty. But how I interpret these 12 modifiers is that for every single idea, and this was distilled mathematically through the AI large language model, is that every concept, every single concept in ChatGPT's mind, or even in our mind, has 12 independent variables that cannot be reduced down to each other. So it is like finding the building blocks of concepts themselves from billions of gigabytes of text. And I asked it, assuming that it's correct, that I actually had to ask it that, like, is it these 12 that are comprehensive? And it said yes. Like, I am not making my judgment voice of myself saying I'm not making a very good statement for these things. Like, whatever. This is just, again, 2 hours of sleep. And I'm just gonna do it. All right. So these are the 12. Let me just name them off because I've already memorized them. And this is the power of the visual thinking method, is I encode things into the visual form, and I've already encoded these as the dimensions. So these are 5 dimensions. In the middle is experiential, but I'm going to use that because, anyways, this side is a physical dimension. Symbolic, I use a cube now as a shorthand. Social dimension, and emotional dimensions. So these are the 12 building blocks of all concepts we can possibly think of with words. I'm pretty sure, but only time will tell. This is like a gigantic breakthrough of every proportion that if this is, anyways, I don't want to oversell it. It's silly. Okay, anyways, these are the 12. And this is more just a memory exercise for me. Starting from blank, and I just redraw it over and over again. Emotional happens to be just standing alone. So this is the emotional variable, emotional dimension of a concept. There is social. There is symbolic. So these are symbolic dimensions, social dimensions of a concept. And within social, there is ethical. And it's right there, agentic. Agentic. Which means, what do they want? Like volition. Symbolic. Okay. Slow down. So I have a self-coaching voice now, right? There's many voices inside of us, and the coaching voice is me picking out among all the different voices, the one that is coaching me is my Olympic level coach. If I'm swimming, the goal is to flow, find flow in the moment. My Olympic coach is the one that will coach me to slow down, sink into the moment, find the sweet spot. Okay, back to here. These are the 12 building blocks of concepts. How I remember them is 1 emotional, there's 3 over here, and then 3 down here, and then a system. That's how I remember it spatially. Okay, so temporal, like time, temporal, spatial dimension of a concept, space, my brain. Okay, spatial and sensorial. So like senses, the feeling, tactile, sensorial. So that's purely physical. and experiential, but their experiential is all of them. I actually asked it why experiential wasn't one of the 12 because experiential comes before concepts. And then that got me to asking, wait, there are things before concepts? And it's like, yeah. So we'll go into that next. That's 9 before concepts. Okay, but here, the 12 parts of any concept. Once a concept is actually formed, it has these 12 components. Symbolic, um, this is some blah, blah, blah. Epicys, uh, wow, epistemic. Whew, this is my brain on 2 hours of sleep and one nap. Episystemic, which is like, how true is it? How do you know? I can't. I can't. No, I'm trying to pronounce the word. Anyways, moving on. Cognitive. And logical. How logical is a concept? Is it? And then symbolic here actually means representing something else, I think. Symbolic, like a lion is, you don't actually want lions, but as a symbol, it means courage, and so it means something else. I think that's what symbolic means in this context. But again, I haven't really dove into these things. I just like, oh, I'm just going to remember the first 12 for now. And that 12 modifiers are the basic building blocks of all knowledge. Like, okay, systemic, like systems, rounds it off to a 12. Let's count them. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Boom! Memory. Right? Um, memorized visually, and each space is a literal different dimension. Physical things don't collapse into symbolic dimensions. Social things can't be collapsed into just physical. Emotional things can't be collapsed into just social. So this is the word that AI uses in its mathematical model to say how something is completely distinct. It says it is orthogonal, right? So like if you're on a grid, orthogonal, it's a different dimension. It's right angle to everything else. So you can't express a z dimension with just x and y. It literally doesn't, right? So that is what it means to be orthogonal and irreducible. And then the last word could I only I need an AI to do is to ask it to compute if it's comprehensive, which is utterly almost impossible. Like I had this cube and I was pretty sure these 5 dimensions was comprehensive, but how do I ask myself, wait, what do I know that I don't know? Like what does it cover everything that I don't know? It's a really hard question to answer, but if I trust a mathematical model to tell me that it is, then that is as good as I get. Right? So these are 12 modifiers that are both distinct variables of a concept, and they are comprehensive. Like every single concept in its model has these 12 variables, these 12 dimensions within it. So that's the 12 modifiers. But remember, there are things that are not in these 12 modifiers, and these were the 9 pre-conceptual dimensions, or the model called them meta-dimensions. But so these are the 9. Okay. So experiential is the canvas. Without something experiencing concepts, it simply stays as data. It doesn't turn into a concept like a text on a book with nobody reading it. It's just a bunch of ink blobs until an agent reads the concept. I think even in language models, It remains math until an conscious agent with experiential experiencing reads the text coming from the model. It doesn't actually become a concept. I'm going too deep here. So here's how I remember the pre-conceptual, right? Well, it takes place within the experiential dimension. Experiential. So right now, me looking out into the world and reading these symbols over here, and by me reading them, they turn into a concept instead of just pixels on a screen. If I'm not looking at them, they're just pixels. I look at them, oh, my brain interprets it as a concept from the inside. So I'm seeing a concept, a unit of concept. And again, these have the 12 component connected to it. Okay. Then, well, we have attention. We can choose which concept to focus on, and that comes before concepts. See? These are pre-conceptual meta-dimensions is what it says, but you can also think of them as dimensions. Pre-conceptual dimensions. They come before. They are what makes concepts possible. So this is attention. Attention, everybody. Okay. Now the person holding the spotlight, moving it around, be like, okay, focus on this. Focus on me. Focus down here. Focus, like, who's changing the focus? Well, the agent, the will, the volition. Volition slash will. Okay. Again, another part is memory. Memory pulls previous concepts and brings them alive in the present. So think of them like the experiences from the Inside Out movie. They're stored back there, and then you can pull them into the moment. What else comes before concepts? Like, that idea is so cool. Imagination. Imagination changes the concept and can project it forward. Like, I'm going to imagine what I'm going to do tomorrow. Imagination, taking now and imagining what could happen. Simulation. Imagination. All right, so I do imagination as a candle. And I imagined imagination has hands that can, like, rotate a concept. You know, imagine a cube and then rotate the cube. Or I can project it into the future. What would this cube look like in the future when I, whatever, multiple different scenarios in the future? Imagination. What else is before concepts? Intuition. Again, these 9 came from the model. I asked it what is a comprehensive list of pre-conceptual meta-dimensions, and it gave me these 9 and said it was comprehensive. So my limited human brain will just trust that, and everything here is going to sound logical, and therefore that's why I trust it so much, because they all sound good to me. They're all consistent. Like intuition. That comes before concepts, and it's a generator of concepts. So I imagine like a primordial pool, and these concepts just kind of bubble up. Who knows where they're from? Just bubbling up from my subconscious. What else is not a concept? That. The silence between words. Silence. You see why I was so excited about everything? Like, this is all accurate information that it would be really hard for me to think about. Like, what is preconception? Where do these thoughts come from? I've been asking that question for ages, and I couldn't come up with a comprehensive list. But here's 9. This is 9 pre-conceptual, means pre-concept, before concepts. I will honor the model by calling it a meta-dimension. It's a meta-dimension. And I also work with the model to ask it what would be a good name for each of these. And this is one of the names, pre-conceptual meta-dimensions. They come before the concepts, makes concepts possible to begin with. What else is independent of concepts? Thank you, Coach. I will slow down. I think you can probably feel me speeding up too. Okay, so I will slow down. Thank you, Coach. That's probably what 90% of what my coach tells me, just like, sweetie, slow down. Let's go. All right. The concept of I, the me simulation. I'm the one moving the spotlight. I'm the one using imagination. I'm the one remembering. The concept of I comes before concepts. That's interesting, huh? These are all concepts. My emotions are shorting out a little bit, so let's just come right back to here. What else? There's one more. There's one more, and that's the meta-awareness, or so also called the witness. The one witnessing myself, seeing the world. The witness witnessing witness. You can, anyways. Meta-awareness. That's seeing all of the below. So those are the 9 pre-conceptual meta-dimensions. So I like to think of them as behind my brain, the little components of what makes even thinking about concepts possible. So let's draw that. Okay. See, this is how I pull everything together and how to remember them. If this is me, and I'm looking this way out into the world or even inside my own brain and concepts, behind me are the 9 pre-conceptual meta-dimensions that makes any concepts even possible to begin with. I'm seeing all these units of concepts, and each concepts have 12 different variables attached to it that tells it where it sits within the entire conceptual domain. Okay, so these are the 12 modifiers. Then there are 8 transformational categories for how it impacts each. Let me just name them. Can I may not remember this, but 8 um 8 ways that concepts transform us. I'm stressing out a little bit, so thank you, Coach. I'm gonna slow down. It's like, oh, do I remember the 8? I only spent a little bit of time today thinking about this, but let me just try to remember it. And when I fail and then I look it up, that's when it's better for the memory this way. So there are 8 ways that it impacts us. I really haven't spent the time to memorize this one because it's too similar to the 12. I'm going to just look this up and draw it. Okay. Where are you? 8. Where are you? 8. Here you are. Okay. Okay. Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So, one, some a new knowledge can change our behavior, and that's the golden standard of coaching. Are we actually changing behaviors, or does it just give us more knowledge that feels good in the moment but doesn't lead to actual change? Okay, so self-coaching, behavior, that's one thing I want to really keep an eye on. But what else can a concept change within us? It can change our emotions. So, okay, so these are behavioral changes. These are emotional changes. Emotional. I'm trying to do this without looking, and 2 hours of sleep, and the pressure is just like, ah. So I'm just gonna just not worry about it. Okay. And then it can change our social, the way we relate to each other, like social repatterning is what I remember. So social changes the way we relate with each other. A knowledge can, you know. Um, I'm slowing down. Thank you, coach. I'm imagining in my brain the coach just getting tired and just be like, ding, slow down, just like automating. Even my internal coach is just like, has an attitude. Anyways, okay. It can change our beliefs. There's 3 tiers of symbolic change. It can change our beliefs. A, an even stronger change would be change our narrative, which are the stories we tell about ourselves. Right. And then the highest level would be identity. If it changes our identity, anyways, I'm not going to go into that. There's 2 more. It can change our spiritual outlook. And I have a little arrow here for that. Spiritual outlook. And it can change what's down here. Somatic. Yeah. So here's our actual physical body and the little feelings we feel. So it can change our somatics. Somatics. Somatical. So yeah, those are the 8 ways that a concept can change us. Again, I asked Chat to tell me if it's comprehensive, because that's kind of what I'm looking for. A model that can give all my entire brain a big hug and tell it to be done. Stop looking. These are comprehensive. These are orthogonal. They cannot be reduced to each other. These are individual components. And they are comprehensive. Oh, now I get why I've been looking for that, because then my brain can finally rest and be like, okay, all I have to do is just remember these and not look for more. So these are the 8 ways that we can be changed. So this is the EMU, Enlightened Mastery Universe, which is a self-coaching system. And these are the additions to the original system that I have, which includes, my map. It includes, so this is original. I've had this for, a number of, well, coming up on a year now. June. I finished this cube in June of last year. It's not even been a year. And then I've tapped into chat to expand upon the little nuances of it, and it got me way more than I thought it would. Okay, so I am using the cube to map out the things I've learned and to remember them. Well, this one's different. Okay, so the original system basically has this. Imagine a cube with 6 sides and having it opened up. There are 5 primary dimensions and spirituality as like the lid that goes on top, as like the strategy with which we play the other 5 dimensions. The middle one is experiential dimension. We access all other dimensions from this dimension. What do we see in the world? Physical things, physical dimensions. What else do we see? Symbolic dimensions, maps, words. They map things. What else do we see? Other people. Social dimension. What else do we feel? Emotional dimension. None of these dimensions can be collapsed into the others, except for spirituality, which can be collapsed into symbolic. So I actually usually do this, like the strategy. But this technically is a map, and maps fit inside symbolic universe. So this can actually be collapsed into that dimension. So then we only have 5. But since we can only access the other 4 through the experiential, this always exists. So we can then only focus on the 4. So then we reduce the entire world down to just 4 manageable dimensions, which is why both these, the 12 modifiers and the 12 ways it changes us, doesn't have anything in the middle, because the middle is what allows me to see the concepts to begin with. So then the middle is now opened up for me to put anything else in the middle. What are we experiencing? And what are we analyzing? So we're analyzing every single concept in terms of the physical dimension, the symbolic dimension, the social dimension, and the emotional dimension. And systemic dimension, the strategy can be fit inside symbolic dimension. Okay. So this is how my previous system is utilized to, and how what I've learned expands in and absorbs this knowledge that I've gained from pretty much the last 3 days of really specific honed questions. All right, and then there's the health wealth relationship model in 3 ascending tiers. So this was the bulk of the original system that I had. There's a lot more that's specific information within the experiential cockpit, right? I have knowledge about, or maps about the emotional dimensions, social, less on the social. That's kind of where I still need to expand. Anyways, this is the original system, and I'm adding the dimensions of change, 8 transformational, 8 transform. Transformational dimensions. But can you see how anything that can happen to us changes us in one of these 8 ways? Let's say a trauma happens. It changes us somatically. Right? I feel more tense, maybe, before I even recognize it as an emotion. I change, maybe it becomes an anxiety. I'm behaving differently. I'm relating to people differently. My relationship with spirit or God or the universe changes. What things I tell myself, my narrative about myself changes. What I believe about the world. Oh, before I thought cars were safe and now I don't. And my identity changed. I was before a confident person, now I'm not. Like, this is the 8 dimensions of change. Maybe that's another way to see. I'm testing out different ways to describe, name them. 8 dimensions of change. Dimensions of change. And this is why I've been unable to sleep. I woke up 2 hours into my sleep and be like, 4 a.m. I slept at 2 a.m. I was like, it's 4 a.m. And then my brain's just thinking and thinking. It's like, okay, might as well get up and pull everything together into one document, put it online, put a timestamp on it saying, this is where I've gone to so far. Yeah. So I haven't even gotten to the most exciting part, which is the 7 levels of cognitive development. Is that what? Okay, I'm just going to look. I tried. 7 stages of consciousness. That's what I called it. Cognitive development. I think it's the same thing. 7 stages of consciousness or 7 levels of cognitive development. Okay, so here's the first level, is when we're just aware of emotions. Like, oh, I'm feeling emotions, right? The raw sensory level before any concepts. And then emotions will say words through our mouth, right? It will get us to say things. And if we believe in them, they turn into a belief. So we have beliefs. And if we don't question them, they're just kind of what they are, they're reality. And a bunch of different beliefs added together makes up a world view. So imagine somebody who's just kind of new to this world. They feel emotions all the time and they don't really know what they are. It's like, oh, I'm so angry, and I stuff it down. It's like, oh, and I have these thoughts and beliefs. And I start noticing, wait, there's a pattern to the words I say. Whenever I get angry, I say certain words. Whenever I'm sad or whenever I'm afraid, certain words come up. Wait, then I realize they all have a pattern. They come together in a form of a worldview. And we're born into this worldview, so we don't know it exists. So this is when we are starting to realize we live inside a worldview without even realizing it. So the first 3 levels, this is tier 1, is self-knowledge. Know thyself. Knowledge. It's like, oh, I have a worldview. I didn't know. I was born into it, right? I have all these beliefs. Okay. The next tier up, the next level up, is just the idea of a blank slate. It's not that we have a blank slate yet, but it's just idea. Wait, I don't have, hold on, blank slate. I don't have to keep these beliefs if I don't want to. I can choose. So what if I imagine a blank slate and I am the canvas? So then I start becoming an author, a self author of my own life. But a blank canvas is really intimidating. It's like, I don't know what to put. What's the right thing? It's like, hold on. People have come before us and they've done a lot of work. They've mapped out a lot of different patterns that already exist. First, study those and practice those. You don't need to start from scratch. So this then moves you up to level 5, the level of archetypes. Archetypes. Like the hero's journey, like king, queen. Tarot is one of the archetypes, right? There's a lot of different archetypes. So we start studying those. The level above that is when we start having a mastery of different archetypes and we're able to put together a whole different persona. And if we're able to do more than one, you are now at level 6. This is multi-perspective. Multi-perspective. When you can hold more than one identity at a time, contradictory perspective sometimes. I want to say something grand about it, but that is your being able to process things on a whole nother level. Sure, there, that's my statement. My brain is judging myself, but it's all right. Okay, so archetypes. I like to draw this. This is the hero's journey. And when you go, I think it goes this way, into the dark and then back up. Archetypes. Blank slate. And you're painting it. It's like, I don't know what to paint. So an artist then learns how to paint from people who've painted before. Okay, so, all right. These are the 6. And the craziest thing about this is when I asked Chat about these 6, it said that that's all that it can extrapolate with the knowledge it has from the gigabytes of data. I asked it to extrapolate these levels, and from all our human knowledge, this is it. It is these 6. Then I asked it to postulate, like, okay, even though it doesn't exist yet within your model, postulate the next layer level, but stay very grounded to reality. Stay with what might actually occur should we have more data in the future, right? And then so it postulated a 7th level, and I call this the unified framework. A framework that can unify a lot of different perspectives and archetypes all together in one framework. And that's what I've been trying to do. This is EMU is an example of a unified framework. So I got validation from a mathematical model, from gigabytes of knowledge, hypothetically of all knowledge of humankind, and this is the levels it came up with. And it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense, right? We have emotions. And then emotions make us say words like, oh, I'm no good, or I'm anxious. It means I have social anxiety. That's something I say a lot, right? Beliefs turns into a worldview. It's like, wait, just because I'm saying this and feeling this now doesn't mean I always will need to do. Like, I can choose something else. But if what would I choose? Let's look at what I can choose. Let's look at all the archetypes. What are the other hats I can wear? What's the other costumes? You know? and then I'll try a bunch of them out and create a few different characters, being able to see things from multiple perspectives at the same time. And then as I'm working to build a unified framework of everything else. So that's the 7 levels of cognitive development that I'm so freaking excited about. So 7 levels. 12 concept modifiers, 9 preconceptual modifiers. So this is too much. So I have to use one diagram to pull them all together. This is the power of actually visual thinking. If we pull out entirely, what I'm actually doing, and I'm showing you how I'm doing it, is I take a blank piece of paper and I draw the model over and over and over every day without looking. And so I memorize things through a visual system. So this is visual thinking, allowing me to compress things. See, come back. The key to visual systems is that the container themselves looks like a shape, and thus it can compress. It itself can be shrunk down into a symbol. Let's float on top. There we go. Okay. So remember, right? This little plus sign represents the 5 primary dimensions. If you add a little square here, that would be the spirituality, and that would be the cube. The cube anchors everything together into one unit, right? This anchors the ways to change anchors to the cube. This anchors to the cube. But the cube itself is not good enough to help me remember the relationships of these bigger models. That's the power of a visual system, is I can compress. See, the 9 dimensions I can compress right here. Each concept is right here. So I'm looking at the world through the layer of concepts. That's a tree, that's a light bulb, It paints my entire world. 8 dimensions of change. There's another model, but I'm not going to do it right now. Okay, wait. Is the rocket ship model. This is the rocket ship. And everything depends on behavioral change. So physical, but then emotional. Why? Identity change, ID, and then reinforce it with the social group. So this is like the flames, but only behavioral system change would truly, like, you actually have to do the change. So there's like a system. This is the rocket ship of change and personal self-coaching, self-development. All right. The reason I do this is so that I can put the skin here of the rocket. And this is where concepts meet reality. And this is where I put the 8 dimensions of change. Is where concepts from the inside of our brain actually meets the outside world, where it actually changes something in our behavior, changes how we feel. It changes the way we socialize, narrative, beliefs, identity, okay. So right now I'm anchoring these big models that I have um, found and expanded my framework with, and this, right, and then 7 levels of the game is like, they're kind of pre-conceptual, maybe like, should I put it before? Oh, anyways, it's somewhere here. It's, let's go here. Let's look straight at it. This is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so that's the ladder we're climbing. So you can kind of see where we are. Everything is made out of concepts, and each concept has 12, sub variables that tell our brain where it exists inside symbolic space. And these concepts can change us in all sorts of ways, and these are called impact dimensions, but I'm not going into them right now because there's like 40 of them. And it's just a lot. I can name some of them. It's how much an idea will impact us. So like um, amount of dopamine hit, shadow confrontation, spiritual leverage, attention hijack, right? An idea that will hijack our attention higher, like advertisement, will have a higher impact rating in our being, and this is how it actually changes us. And then preconception. So these are the 4 actually: preconception, concepts, how much it will impact us, and then the actual impact on us. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4-part, 4 layers of, I don't know what to call it, change. Anyways, that's kind of the addition. There are more stuff that I've been pulling, but I haven't been able to consolidate it. Yep. So the 4 layers. Let's go back up here. Here's a person inside my own head. Before even thoughts, these are 9 things that allow me to even have thoughts: experiential, attention, volition, witness, silence in between words, intuition. See, I'm just using spatial memory to recall these. Imagination to change it, memory to pull other concepts from memory, and the concept of I. Okay, so these are what allows me to even be able to see anything at all. So these is like ooh, these are like the cosmic retina. Anyways, and see, I'm looking this way, so I don't usually see what generates my thoughts. It's really hard. Okay, then what do I see? I see concepts like pixels. The universe is made out of concepts like pixels on a screen, and each one has 12 dimensional modifiers. Each one has 12 modifiers that tells us what the concept is in relation to everything else. And then there's the ladder that we're climbing. 7 emotions. What do we believe? Worldview, self-knowledge. Oh, blank canvas. We can write our own destiny. Wait, what do we write? Well, let's learn archetypes. And then once we've mastered at least two, we become second. Uh, I don't know what I was saying. When we learn at least two, we are now at level 6. And then level 7 is creating everything else, the unified framework. Okay, so these are the 7 levels. So 7 levels of self-development, cognitive development, the 12 modifiers, 12 mods, the 9 pre-concepts, dimensions, how each concept will impact us. These are impact dimensions. And then once it impacts us, what kind of change does it cause in us? And there are 8 different types of change. Let's see if I can remember them. Okay, there are behavioral, social, emotional, spiritual, somatic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 3 of them up here. It changes our identity, our narrative, and our beliefs. Ha! See, I had them memorized. I just needed to do another round. It takes 2 rounds to memorize these things. That's the speed of the visual thinking. All right. And the 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 big parts of the model that was added. And the 7 levels are pretty much the whole game. This is 7 levels in the game. 7 game levels. So that's the addition. Oh, we're at 58 minutes. That's the addition to, let's see how much of this I can do, to the cube. So again, this is the physical dimension. This is how I separate them. These are dimensions that cannot be collapsed into each other. Symbolic, experiential, seeing the world from the inside, social, and emotional. Inside this map, I also put the lid of the cube, which is the is the spiritual dimension, strategies with which we play the game. And I imagine that I am playing a game of self-coaching. So these are the loops. I get better and better. This is the view screen. This is my inner Olympic coach. The this self-coaching Olympics has this symbol as a summary. So these are the loops we live, like every single day, every breath is a loop, but always staying in the now loops. This is within the ship itself, the controls, things we can actually control. This is the map, A to B, map to success. This is the dimensions, like the control pad of our game. And then these are just a treasure chest of all the other tools that I have accumulated. So this is the Olympic self-coaching symbol. This is the Olympic coach that we're looking to develop within ourselves. So now our inner voice is coaching ourselves into our highest being. Mostly just tells me to slow down. Right? Okay, so I learned how to self-coach myself. This is a self-coaching revolution. Self-coaching revolution, which means I learn how to self-coach myself. I teach someone else how to self-coach themselves, and that makes me a teacher. The best way to learn is to teach. The best way to know that you know something really well is to be able to teach it. But that isn't even the highest level, so that just makes me a teacher. Right? This one, if I teach this person to teach someone else, now I know how to teach teachers. Now that's when I truly know I have mastered certain information. So this person becomes a player of the game of life. This person now becomes a teacher, and now I am a teacher of teachers. Let's stop there. There's no that's good. Then I teach more teachers, and that's it really. I mean, you can teach more teachers that teach teachers. It gets a little recursive after a while, so you gotta stop. Okay. So and every day we're just swimming. We're enjoying our life. We know, to stay in the flow channel. Flow. Let go of emotional effort. Right? I have a whole system of moment by moment awareness, breath, posture, speed, let go of emotional effort into effortless action. On the ground of nothingness, focus on that which I can control. Fear heads up display. Reality 2, here is the dimension, so I can switch between them right here. Like, oh, I'm looking at the physical dimension. Cool. Okay. Looking symbolic. Cool. Social. Well, this is kind of social. Okay. Emotional. How am I feeling? Oh, and then somatic would kind of be here. And then chop wood, carry water, right? Enlightenment is about letting go. But before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Chop wood, carry water is part of the mastery. I still do the things I need to do. And what do I do? Here's the grid. Health, wealth, relationships in 3 ascending tiers. And every single day, we do our morning routine, evening routine, and then spend our free time accordingly, sleep enough, and every breath is also a cycle, a loop. This is the time, and these are what to do, right? Health, and the equation for health is rest, fuel, clean, dress, exercise, stretch, and balance. Okay. Then mental health, emotional health, and then physical well-being, like feeling good. If it's too easy, make it harder. If it's too hard, reward yourself. And then highest level of health is a fully embodied spirituality. Here's the spell, right? What if one day I suddenly realize, wait. Every single word I've ever spoken was already poetry. Every movement that I have ever made was already dance. Every noise I made was already song. And I'm singing the song of my life. I'm telling the storybook. I'm playing the video game. Full out. Play full out. That is my embodied spirituality. And to play full out, I need to let go of emotional effort, but still be doing the things to maintain my body. I brush my teeth in the morning, eat well, drink water, sleep well, and maintain my body, maintain my relationships, and maintain my physical assets. I help maintain my parents' house, I help mow the lawn, etc. And then finances. Make sure I have enough finances. And then where do my finances come from? My job, career, or business. So this is a business. This is a job where I have to be there. Businesses don't. And then what business do I go into? My life purpose. So A to B. What is my life purpose? Well, I want to become financially free. That's a separate thing. Financial bodhisattva. Win, win, win. I want to do it. Win for me, win for my client, win for the world. Ethical. Boom. Right? Close relationships. Where do my close relationships come from? My community. And social community, business community, or cause community. And then relationships on the highest tier. We're all one. It's all me. We're all Buddhas already, and we're all family. But just because I think that way doesn't mean everyone else will. So let's make sure we remember self-defense and community self-defense. Defend our community. And remember, who comes and stays in our life is determined by how well we maintain our boundaries, which contains our yeses and nos. And then all judgment eventually is self-judgment. So you can look at your judgments of other people and see what it says about us. That's it. So that's the relationships on the highest tier, which will determine how well you do in your community, which will determine what kind of close friends you will have. So 3 ascending tiers. This is this is my immediate assets, like the money in my bank account. Well, this is what refills my bank account, and this is my life purpose is what defines what jobs, careers I will go into, which will determine how well it replenishes my bank account. Physical health, mental emotional health, and every single moment, moment by moment awareness. That's the health wealth relationship map. That's the life coaching, basic life coaching map. And combined with the cube, there are way more things. Plus, there's way more little sub things. This is moment by moment awareness. This is all loving. My left eye is my all loving acceptance eye. My right eye is the potential. Fear HUD. Reality 2, reality 1, that's reality right here. Reality 2 is in my daydream land. Reality 3 is if I'm watching TV and I don't even have to use my brain. Reality 0 is Buddhist 0. Reality -1, it looks like reality, but like it's not. Emotions have colored everything. Then I have the tsunami alarm in case big emotions comes, like big emotions, I have my train of thought. So this tracks choo choo train keeps coming through. And here I put a lens so I can zoom in on something, zoom out, or I can change it into like a sci-fi theme, like a rocket ship, or like a fantasy spell casting, you know. I can change that. These are things I can consciously change. So when I can pull this map up in my mind, I can remember, oh, I can change the frame. I can zoom in on something and it will change the entire feeling of my reality. Then there is the ice cream cone, the feeling, the flavor of the moment. Even if I don't like it, it's just a flavor. There's only now. There's nothing more than now. So if time feels really long, that's a flavor. That's not a reality. Okay? So this is my physical processing. So I plan something, I do it, and then I try to have fun, play. Plan what I do what I plan, and then have fun while doing it. This is my social strategy, is just to give value away and then see the whole field of possibility. Anybody does anything enters a field of possibility, and I address the entire field of possibility within myself. And then again, all judgments are eventually self-judgments. I'm judging this person, which says this about my shadow self. Okay. 5 is the 5th chakra, so expression, voice, and tone. I can change my tone. I can change my tone. Voice. V doesn't mean voice. It means volume. Like, I'm not actually going to shout, but, I can change my volume. I can change my tone. These are things I don't remember I can change when I'm in the moment of shadow. So, oh, these are things I can actually control. This is the control pad. Like, like, oh, what kind of physical things have I done? What's my social protocol? Right. So this is my actual physical body. Right? And then I drop, so this is field of nothingness. Everything arises from nothingness. It's kind of where I take a break. Okay, I'm done. Dropping back into the world. Superhero landing. I drop into my emotional submarine. This shields me from the big waves. Things can either go down or it can go up. If it's going down, it's charging me up for a bigger contrast later. If it's going up, just enjoy the ride. And at all time, I can just be resting in action. If I'm washing dishes, that's fine. My body can be washing dishes, but brain could be listening to an audiobook or relaxing, enjoying. So I'm resting in action. No matter what waves come along, if where I get stuck is when I activate my trauma shields and I get stuck watching videos, scrolling Facebook, playing video games, sitting here, or I don't get out of bed at all. So this is a trauma shield to get out of this. This is addictive patterns. I go to here, which are daily routines, things I do no matter how I feel. And then I would spend my day building something, and then in the evening I got to remember to reward myself to complete the cycle. The things I rewarded delayed, I need to fulfill. And then if I want to intentionally go into heavy emotions, I do emotional strength training. I go into the waves. Oh, here's another model. Wow, this is going quite a bit more than I planned, but let's just do it anyways. This is Shadow Search and Rescue. This is the emotional map. This is the 4 primary emotions. Fear, anger, hurt, desire, and hurt, anger, fear becomes the shadow weight on us, and my own desire have often been blocked, and so I'm kind of stuck down here as my small self, and I don't remember anything when I'm this deep down in the hole. So the frame I use is, remember, sweetie, remember, I am infinity, playing small. I want to feel what it feels like to be small. Infinity can't feel small. It's everywhere, everything all at once. It had to limit itself so much so that we could feel, oh yeah, it feels terrible. Yeah. Isn't it great? Don't you feel so small? How can infinity fit down here? Wow, what a good magic trick. But how do we rise up? That's fun part too. So instead of taking it all at once, we take chunks out of it. So this is called terribleism, which states there's only so much terrible in our life, and once we use it all up, it's gone. So to get good at something, we eat up the terrible as much as possible. All right, so this is terribleism. And up here, I have shadow, search, and rescue. So this is the metaphor. It's a search and rescue. We're not hunting anything. Parts of ourselves got lost in the past, in the emotions. And the thing is, once we actually are down there, we lose all the tools. I lose all these tools. That's why I draw this over and over again to practice. Like, okay, when I'm in the dark, I don't have anything. I don't have pen, I don't have paper. How do I recall all these tools? For me, remember. Remember what you have. You know, imagine in the dark, I'm triggered and like, hey, there's nothing. It's all cloudy. It's just like, remember what I have, right? Yes, you have your breath. You always have your breath. And as long as I slow down my breath, oh, okay, now I have a handle on things. Now what do you have? Cube. Now I have a cube. Okay, now what? Okay, imagine I hit the cube and it activates. The cube turns into this, like I'm still here, you know? Like, oh, it turns into this like power suit armor. Like Iron Man. It's like, welcome, Hector. You know, it's like, whoa, that's so cool. Welcome to the game. I am your coach. I'm your highest voice. I'm your coach. And here's the maps. The Olympic self-coaching symbol. Okay, and remember, you focus on our loops. Daily loop and our breath loop. Focus on our loops. This is the spaceship. These are the controls within the spaceship. These are the dimensional controls pad. This is where we're going, A to B, our life purpose. You can pick whatever you want. And then financial bodhisattva, win-win-win, life purpose, superpower, single player game. And then down here is a treasure chest of all the tools. And remember, this is the game, Self-Coaching Revolution. You first learn how to use and how to self-coach yourself through anything, but you're not alone. You will then be an example to teach someone else how to self-coach themselves out of anything. And they will also be in the dark and stuck, just like you were. You're not alone. You help awaken their inner self-coaching voice so that their own inner voice is helping them. And then you're not done yet. You, once you get them to learn how to self-coach themselves, you teach them how to teach someone else. Can you see how this will work in the world? Do you see why this is the self-coaching revolution? Do you see the simple logic? And then now I'm part of a community of people who self-coach themselves through anything. And then you become a teacher of teachers, and this person becomes a teacher, and this becomes a player of their own life, their own game. That's the game. Mm. Welcome to Welcome to Earth. That's the global game. Welcome to Earth. And this is Success School. The Enlightened Mastery School of Self-Coaching. And a part of the self-coaching revolution. That's the whole model, extended with the things I pulled from ChatGPT. But this model, no, this is all mine. You won't be able to get this model from Chat. So, and then all this was created using visual thinking. This is the real power. This is the excitement. This is how I'm able to generate all these different models. This is how I'm able to compress all the different models and remember this whole thing. It's memorized by putting a blank piece of paper down every single day. That's it. This is the full self-coaching model I do over and over, and I call it a visual mantra, right? I draw it over and over again as a spell, as a prayer to the world. So there you go. That's the record of the system, the Enlightened Mastery universe. As of today, May 10th, Saturday, 7:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I love you all, and I'm excited to get this out into the world and get everybody to be using it. It just makes sense to me. So that's it. Until next time, I'm Hector Kuan Yin Pang. Kuan Yin is actually my Chinese name, so I'm owning it and leading into it and embodying myself as a male goddess of compassion. Yep. I love you all. Until next time. Hold on. What screen do I want to end on? This is good. I love you all.